Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining me for the explanation of our New Year's Eve practice. Um, I want to not take up too much time, but at the same time give an explanation of what I sort of my intention of hopefully what we'll be doing, and to give a little tips and kind of give everybody an idea on how to sort of go about it. So when it comes time to go live and come on, or you're doing it for your own midnight time frame, you kind of know sort of how to go about it. Let me take one moment, just center a little bit here. So, so first thing, just the technical aspects of everything. So, just for the technical aspects, um, I'm putting up the schedule now, and all the links are already up. And they're all for Pacific time. And here's my sort of recommendation. Firstly, the most important one, if you can't attend them all, um, is the one that's at your time zone. We'll be meeting to begin the practice on the first portion of the earth that rings in sort of the new year, Millennium Island. I don't know if anybody lives there, but that is the first place on this planet that sort of rings in the new year. And then we'll be closing the practice on the last place um, on Earth that rings in the new year. And I believe there are people living on those islands. I think one of them was actually made quite famous during the last World War. So, um, so that's what we'll be sort of doing um, together. But what's really important is that the practice keeps going through that 24-hour period. That where you are, there'll be other people in that time zone. And even though you won't be linked via the internet, you'll still be doing the practice at the same time. And you will sort of be linked in that way. And the overall practice is over a 24-hour period. So we're sort of like passing the baton throughout the planet, as well as adding it to the practice that was done previously in previous time zone and when we began the practice. So it's very important if you're able to and able to stay up or don't have plans out in the club partying and everything, which is wonderful if you do, um, that people make a priority where they're at or pick another time that works for you or do all of them. Um, to the extent you can. And if you're not, just take a couple minutes on New Year's Eve and just either do your practice, fit it in during that 24-hour period, because there'll be somebody on the planet doing it at that time. And it's overall our practice time. So anytime during that time, if you could fit in a little couple moments or 20, 30 minutes, it would add to the overall practice that we're doing as a group. Yes, so ideally it's great at certain times, but if you could just do it at some point, not only does it add to the prayer that we're doing, and it doesn't necessarily need to be at the same time, but it also connects you with the practice. And as we do a practice like this, we do it, but we also get a benefit ourselves from our prayers. But also by doing the prayer, we connect with the prayers of everybody else. And we also get the strengths of their practice. It's one of those things. So I encourage you to try to connect, because there's an overall blessing that occurs with all of us, to sort of, we all take the benefits of the practice, and because we all become a part. So I wanted to sort of say that at the beginning. Let me put up the other slide. All the times on Pacific time, so be sure to adjust accordingly. I thought it would be easier to have one time zone you have to look up. And on midnight Pacific Coast time, a little bit before, I will log on and do a live practice from my time zone. And what I recommend, that I'm personally not going to wait up till midnight. I'm going to set my time, my clock ahead of time, especially the times that are at 4 in the morning and 2 in the morning. That's way too early for me. So you could also do it that way. Set the time a little bit ahead of time, wake up a little bit, do the practice, go right back to sleep, which is what I plan to do. The practice time is not going to be more than 20, 25 minutes. So it's short and focused. Yes, we might go a little longer, but there's people there at the middle of the night. So, and if you could only tune in for 5, 10 minutes, then just tune in for 5, 10 minutes. If you're out and about and can get a moment, right, on your phone, log in if you want, or just do it on the spot where you are. That's the thing with a mantra or prayers. You don't need to be in a specific position. You don't need to light a candle. You tune in. We have that connection with our practice to tune in on the spot. So even if you are in the middle of a dance floor, and I've done it on New Year's Eve, just in your own self, just say Yahweh Ori and do a little prayer and send out love to the world, that God may be with us in the new year, that God may uplift and bless us in the new year, and think of the group that's practicing in that time zone. Bingo, you did it. Bravo. It's really not more than that. And then you're connected and you put that prayer to everybody else's prayer. And that's the thing. We are building a collective energy through a collective practice. This is mantra. This is intermediate mantra to advanced. And those who've been practicing with me for a while and have been doing their own practice at home probably have come to an understanding where sending out an energy of love, an energy of God, an energy of light. So this energy is very real and it's very blessed. And one person does a practice that's powerful. We have as many people as listen to me, which is a lot. That's extremely powerful. We have a similar intent, and we have it as a moving wave across the world, but it grows. It's not a wave, then the practice ebbs for 45 minutes until the next group in the next time zone picks it up. No, we start it and it grows like a tidal wave. And by the time we seal it, from the closing practice, it's become a big thing. A lot of waves put out on this planet: greed, ego, hate, a lot of things. It'd be beautiful to put out a wave of light, of wisdom, of connection with God, or if you believe the universe, a wave of calm, a wave of healing, a wave of grace, wave of forgiveness, a wave of love and truth, a wave that uplifts, protects, comes to the help of those in need, comes to the sick, comes to the healthy and not in need, to keep us okay, to keep those who need it to become better. And it's a beautiful intention, not only to send it out into the planet, but also it helps us, because by having these intentions, or working towards having them, sort of faking it until you make it sort of thing, it heals us inside. It causes our energy to lift, it heals us, makes us more heart centered, activates the practices we're doing even more. So it's both for others, but indirectly, we're also helping ourselves. So I wanted to mention that because there's a whole thing that goes on with us when we do these practices. Our motivation should be, as I said them initially, but we have to be mindful. It helps us. And sometimes the help we can get from the practice, especially at the beginning and if we are in need, should come first. You first start with yourself and then you start with others. I'm going to pull up the picture. So the practice, I've been sort of reflecting. Let me back up a little bit. So Sunday's 3 p.m. discussion, I put together, there was a little snafu on the morning one. I started playing the recording from last week, not last Wednesday, but I fixed it for the 3 p.m. I caught it in time, but the 3 p.m. is perfect. It includes what I said Sunday morning and then adds what I said on the Wednesday night prayer gathering. And it's really a very powerful, in-depth teaching on mantra, the likes of which are very hard to obtain because it really explains practice. So if you didn't have the opportunity to listen to it, I would suggest you take a little time to listen. Fast forward from the parts that you don't need to hear about this practice or that, but definitely listen to the parts on the mantra. It will give you an understanding about Yahweh Ori, which is the very first part of that practice for about an hour, because I really spoke about it on Sunday morning. And then the rest is a lot on an understanding on mantras. And since it's a replay, you could fast forward a little bit if it hits a patch that's not directly on point. It's an understanding that one develops through practice, through experience. There's all sorts of energies, right? Our thoughts, our actions, our body vibrations, our body language, right? We understand energy. This repeating of a name, a sacred name, also puts out an energy. Just like if you touch a flame, it has an energy of heat and you get burnt, right? So a name has an energy of blessing. So I was contemplating how to explain it, the practice, in a way that works for people brand new, just found HP Shalom recently, and those who've been doing mantra work for 2 years, or even longer than that, and people who come from other traditions. So there's several different ways you can do the practice of the New Year's Eve. Very traditional. You light a candle, you put up the incense, as I've mentioned, or several candles, whatever you would like, and you just pray. God, please be with us for the new year. You could use the name of God that you've been using, Yahweh, please be with us for the new year, or Hashem, please be with us for the new year. Bless the planet, bless those in need. Please let your light shine upon the planet and your people. You know, you can tell I've prayed a lot. So there's formulas, right, that you can come from the heart, right? So that's very valid. And that should be sort of the intention that you hold in your heart as you say the mantra of love and care and God's presence and God's energy here. Yes, that God may infuse, may there be the vibration that remains the whole year. So this is not just a practice for, launching into the new year and then poof. No, we want a presence for the whole year. We're calling forth. We're sending a collective prayer of please be with us. Yes? So that's really what's in our hearts. Now, you could also add personal prayers. Please help us with, health, provision of money. Somebody's ill in the family. Please help us with whatever struggle you have. That is very acceptable and appropriate. We do not forget ourselves in the mix. But we also don't forget the overall need of all the other 10 billion people on this planet. So it's asking for God's light to shine. And that's simply can be your practice in prayer. And it's beautiful and that is perfect. That's that you add that to the collective, and if you're there for just one session or you're out and about, that's what you do, and you just send it out to God, and there you are. And if you have one of the fixed times, that's what you do. If it takes 5-10 minutes and then you're kind of done with your prayer and you want to go back to sleep, then log off. Just because I'm logged on doesn't mean you need to be for that period of time. If you do mantras, and especially at the beginning, it's hard to do it then for a certain amount of time. You do it 5, 6, 3 minutes, and you're like, ooh, I feel I need to take a moment or whatever. You take a moment. But if you feel you're done, say your prayer and then log off. This is not meant to be a push. Yes, there'll be plenty of people who could oomph all the way through. So don't worry. This is supposed to be an uplifting practice where you extend yourself a little bit, but it's you, once you put in your practice, you've sent your prayer, then you've sent it for that midnight time period. Yes? For mantra recitation, so we're using Yahweh Ori as this little. Yes? Yahweh our light. We And so you just sort of recite it. Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori. And that works. You sort of send it out. You build it up with you, and then you just feel it sort of emanate from you, just into your space. You're just sending it out if you can. If not, just send out the light of God. I explained what the light of God means on the recording, which is there on the live section for Sunday. And just the light of life, the light of love, the light of healing, the light of wholeness, the light of wisdom, the light of life, the light of plenty. It's basically all encompassing all the good names of God. I don't know why I didn't introduce this one sooner. I focused on other names, and this is actually one of the main 72 names of God, official. So it's highly empowered, and it's just ones that we haven't used. And it just happened to come up right before the new year, which is perfect timing. And I really felt it was meant to be. So you just recite it and just feel it, you know, like heat coming from your body. You feel heat come off a little bit from your body, or like the heat from your breath. It just comes forth. You could say it out loud a little bit or louder, and it just comes out into the room and goes out through the walls and out. You don't need any sort of visualization if that comes challenging. That takes a little practice, but you do what you can. Yeah, so a prayer, the mantra recitation if you can. Yes. All right. So for those who can, nobody knew this was coming. And if you can't, you don't overextend yourself. This is with practice. For those who can, I sense chuckling. You send it out and you feel it go all around the planet. Yes, this is real. It's with your mind's eye. Yes, that is real too. So an easy way to go about it, so either you're sitting down, even my tone of my voice changed. You're seated down and you could just feel, so the earth is round and you're sending it out and you literally feel it energetically go around the planet in a circle. It's just a vague circular thing, but in your mind, energetically, especially if you practice, it takes a little practice. You did one orbit. I just did it now. And I just did it again. And I just did it again. So it takes practice. One way to do it, which I found to be very helpful, we've all seen pictures from the space station. If you look at the picture, which is up on your screen, it's actually perfect. You could see yourself from orbit looking down on the planet. It's light. You're not making out the details. This is a soft touch. It only works if you do a soft touch. Otherwise, it feels too dense, overwhelming, and the details you get. This is about visualizing an energetic circle around the planet. So if you look at the picture, right, you just envision you sort of energetically moving energy around the planet once or twice. And that's the Yahweh Ori, the Yahweh Ori, Yahweh Ori. And you see it, just visualize it circulating the mantra and the light of God around the planet. Welcome to the world of mantras. It is possible completely, absolutely, 1,000,000%. I'm not making this up. There's a very ancient tradition to this. It takes practice, but it's a soft touch, a soft visualization. It's just a subtle movement of your mind's energy kind of around, and it's with an intent. So you have the intent, and you kind of, with some point, you realize, oh, I think I just did it. So people can start with themselves, and if they have the ability, they'll hop right to it. And, if you don't, just do it with yourself to the extent you can. And then with the intent, say, I like to try to see if I could put it around the planet. And you just, boom. And even if you don't think you do it, the intent to do it made it happen. Yes, that's real too. But you don't get the felt sense of that. But because we're all practicing at the same time, the chance that you'll have the ability will increase because we're on a similar vibration and we have the blessing of God with the sacred names. This is how we all help each other's practice, especially those who are new. By practicing with those who have the ability helps increase our practice. Yes. And those with the ability will consciously try to uplift those who are trying to do the practice. Yes, that's possible too. All of it is with one's intent of mind, where we can do much more than what we think we can do, especially when we're reciting divine names, because it's no longer just ourselves. It's ourselves who have done our work and are cleaner and able to move a certain energy in our bodies, be able to move the Shekhinah in our bodies and connect with the Shekhinah outside of our bodies. And because we're working with all the positive attributes of love and care and compassion and healing and wisdom, everything sort of works to assist us. The Shekhinah listens, wants to contribute to that. So it's much more than just us. It's much more than just HP Shalom. It's the practice and also the link and the attainment and the sacred names. And then we're also doing it all at the same time. Or you're doing it with other people at your time zone. And so we connect to something much larger than ourselves with a positive intent. And I thought it would be a most beautiful way to start the new year. And so we'll start 10, 15 minutes before midnight and we'll go 10 minutes after midnight. So I'm thinking maybe 10 minutes or so before midnight to 10 minutes after. So we practice and we pray. We hit the midnight hour for that time zone. And I won't say anything because I don't want to disturb. And then we continue for a while, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. If you want to log off when you are personally done, that's fine. Or you stay for the bit, but it's not going to last too much longer because I like it to be sort of a focus practice. Yes. If it's midnight your time zone, maybe you could make it a little longer. But I think 10 minutes leading in and 10, 15 minutes on the back end, or 12 minutes, maybe like 12 minutes. I kind of like that. 10 seems a little short. Maybe 12 minutes coming in and 10, 12 minutes on the back end. That's 24 minutes. That's legit. To have a focused practice, not one that's long and sort of at half speed or half oomph, but to have a solid one and to bank it and move. And so we're going to start with the initial one, which I think is tonight at 4 in the morning, 2 in the morning Pacific time, but we're meeting up at 1:40. Where I'll give just another brief explanation again, and we will start it and then log off. Then it's up to your individual midnight. Then I will come in for Pacific time. And if people want to join me, great. If not, That's up to you. Even if you're on Pacific time and you don't want to join me, that's fine. I just put it up there for people who want to join me, who don't necessarily have to be in Pacific time. But if you're also able, please do your time. I would really love that somebody does it at every single time zone on the planet. I don't know if it's possible, whether there's enough of us, and maybe there's just a small little island and they don't even have internet connection. That's one time zone. I'm not sure, but it would be nice that we really try to make an effort to connect. So I think that's the most important one to do. So I hope this is helpful. Make it your own. The importance is to have the heart of care and of prayer, and ask for blessings for the new year. I made a few notes. Let me just look to make sure I hit everything, and then I want to log off so it's not too long and people can quickly listen before the practices, um, if they couldn't listen live. Let me see here. So it's about connection, connection to God, connection to the energy of God's light, connection to the group practice. And we wish to bring down the light of God and anchor it here. He's always here. It's always here. The Shekhinah is always here. But when humans pray and try to connect, it becomes stronger. It's influenced by our frequency of the planet and people who connect with it. So it can be weaker if there's not a lot of care and not a lot of practitioners, because it's not being re-anchored. So by us doing what we do, we bring in God's light. There's very much a human component to all this. God doesn't impose himself, nor does the Shekhinah. And it removes and becomes more distant if it's not called and prayed forth. God does not impose. So this sort of puts out a collective candle. There's a long tradition of praying at the beginning of the new year. That's why I thought it would be very beautiful for us to do it. Yeah, I actually hit everything that I had on my little list. Shalom. So I hope this blesses you and your family for the new year. And thank you for tuning in for my little explanation. And I look forward to practicing with you over the next 24 hours. I think it's going to be really, really, really beautiful thing. And I hope it touches us all. I hope it touches the world. And I hope it makes God feel even more present during the practice and in the upcoming year. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you this evening and over the next 24 hours. Shalom, and until soon, my friends. Bye-bye.